Hi there, welcome to another installment of the Booze Briefing. This is where I get to answer your dumbass questions about my books. Joe's The Cold War Diaries Volume 1, Volume 2 with Volume 3 on the way, in the works. Getting there, we'll see. It's kind of we're at that phase where it takes most of the work. The stories are drafted, but the editing process takes a while. So, special edition for you today as far as our drink selection goes. This is an interesting pick. This is VinWhiskey's Fiddler, Shrewd Negotiator, straight bourbon whiskey. This is from right here in Atlanta, from ASW Distillery. And this is their gated community release number 1. Now, I started researching this, and this is a little bit of a social collaboration between VinWiki, which you can look them up online. They have a tool, an app that lets you plug in your VIN number of your vehicle and tells you all kinds of stuff about it, the history of it and stuff, and ASW Distillery. And this is an 8-year straight bourbon whiskey, 110 proof. And so I'm really excited to try this. I got this from my buddy BK down the street here. He lives at the end of my street, and he's an Army veteran as well. And he turned me on to this, said, you got to try this out. So this is a brand new bottle. And I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and open this up and go ahead and as we usually do, let it season on the ice here a little bit while we get into the meat of this particular booze briefing. Isn't that cork coming out sound like the best in the world? Almost doesn't matter what it is, bourbon, wine, doesn't matter. Got a great smell to it. All right, let's pour us a nice little stiff drink there. Just let that sit over there for a second. All right, so we got a couple things. We got a couple of questions I'm going to get to, and we're going to start with an email that I got from Higgs, U.S. Air Force retired. Air Force. Scott, my brother who is ex-Army, sent me both volumes of Joe's The Cold War Diaries for my birthday with a note that said, "This is what a real military looks like." I love his brother already. I'm Air Force, so I already knew this was going to be some bullshit propaganda, but I read them anyway. I love it. I'll say this up front so he doesn't get too cocky if I mention it to him later. The books are funny, painfully so in a few spots. I laughed far more than I expected to, which annoyed me almost as much as it entertained me. There are stories in there that had me thinking, yeah, okay, that tracks with the Army, followed immediately by, of course, that would only happen in the Army. The biggest takeaway for me was just how much unnecessary suffering you guys seemed willing to endure for no clear reason. I kept reading passages out loud to my wife, and about halfway through Volume 1, she asked me if the Army actively selected people who made their own lives harder on purpose. I didn't have a great answer for her. I don't either. That said, I get why my brother loves these books. The camaraderie comes through even when everything else is falling apart. It reminded me that while the Air Force and Army love to talk trash about each other, we're still dealing with the same weird mix of boredom, stress, and people you never survive without. You just did it with more mud and worse living conditions. So, consider this a compliment wrapped in an insult, which I assume is the preferred Army delivery method. Absolutely. The books are solid, the stories are ridiculous, and they definitely confirm that I made the right branch choice. And no, this did not make me wish I'd joined the Army. Higgs, U.S. Air Force retired. Thank you very much for the email, Higgs. And I'm sure that the Air Force and the other branches got up to the same shit, just a different setting. Back then at least anyway. So, a couple of questions we got for you today, but first let's take a little pour here, or a little drink here. This is VinWhiskey's Fiddler, straight bourbon whiskey, Shrewd Negotiator from ASW Distillery here in Atlanta. Let's see here. Wow. What did I say this was of 110 proof? It tastes, to be honest, it tastes like it's less. Wow, almost like the, what did I review on the last one? God, I can't even keep them straight anymore. Whatever bottle it was I reviewed in the last one was very similar to this. It's 110 proof, but there's definitely some flavor in it. The body's good. Again, guys, if you're watching this and you can go back a few episodes where that dipshit wrote me that email about you don't know how to do a bourbon review. The show's not about reviewing bourbons. I'm just telling you what I'm drinking today and telling you what I think about it. I really don't give a shit if you're like, one of these guys that wants to nose it and stuff and all that. Not for me. At any rate, it's good stuff. Now, I think you're going to have a hard time trying to find this, but you can go to ASW Distillery's website. They've got a bunch of other variations of in the brand, the Fiddler brand. But this is the Shrewd Negotiator, which I guess got its name because the founder of ASW, Ed, I believe his name is, Ed Bullion, I believe is how you pronounce it. Used to be a dealer in exotic cars and stuff like that, and he was a shrewd negotiator. I mean, wheel and deal in these exotic cars. But anyway, yeah, Shrewd Negotiator. If you can find it, I don't think it's even listed on their site because it was a limited sort of thing I get. At least that's my sense. But if you can find it, this is pretty good. That's a pretty good sipper right there. So we got a couple questions today. Let's see. Here's one from Dimwit461. Of all the stories you were personally involved in the books, are there any you look back on and regret, or regret, as our infantry brothers would spell it? God, that's a really good question. Regret is an interesting thing. Looking back, I don't know if I regret any of them. There's certainly a couple that I'm not maybe as proud of. I guess maybe that qualifies as regret. Gosh, honestly, I think, I mentioned this story in the previous episode, Monk and the Mercedes. In retrospect, I mean, it was kind of vandalism. I mean, we probably should have stopped him. I mean, I wasn't doing it. He was. But as far as my own involvement, no, I don't think so. I mean, here's the thing. I managed to go through my time in the Army without getting an Article 15. So that's got to count for something. So if I go back and start regretting stories and changing things, who knows, man? This might be one of those like movies, where the timeline gets altered and different shit happens as an outcome. So I don't know, man. I'll take what I got. I'll take the win, right? But no, I can't really think of. Well, okay, maybe one that I regret. Okay, now that I think about it, his story was in the first book, I believe, where I convinced that kid, actually we did, the whole tank crew convinced the kid to stick his tongue lick the armor skirt in the summer or the wintertime. It was cold, snow, and ice everywhere, and his tongue got stuck to the tank. That one maybe. Maybe, I mean, there was probably some physical discomfort involved in it, I guess. That was kind of a hazing thing, I guess. Yeah, welcome to the unit kind of deal. Maybe that one, but other than that, no, I don't think so. Here's one from Harold F. Tell me your favorite food when you were in the field and what was your experience with it? So, favorite food. I can only speak obviously to the Army back in that era, late 80s, mid to late 80s, maybe early 90s. We in the field we had MREs. My personal favorite, I don't know if I had a personal favorite MRE per se, as much as it was a couple of personal, what do you call those little side items, they give you. The dehydrated fruit cocktail was one of my favorites. And what was it, the dehydrated strawberries, was it? And you just throw them in your mouth. And, you're supposed to pour water in the pouch and stir it up and let it reconstitute. But we would just eat it like cotton candy. And it would let it rehydrate in your mouth. And that was very satisfying. I loved those. They tasted really good, man. Those tasted really good. Of course, the chocolate bars and all that stuff, the John Wayne bar, the chocolate covered cookie, all those kind of things were really good. I used to like to take the crackers, the MRE crackers, and a lot of guys would put use the cheese or the peanut butter spread on them, which was fine. I like that as well. But I would take the jelly, the little jelly packet that you would get in some of the MREs, and I'd just smear jelly on the cracker and just sit there and eat crackers with jelly on it. Jam, jelly, yeah. But no, I mean, all the MREs, everybody talks about the old chicken a la king. Now, keep in mind, guys, when I was in, these were first gen MREs, so it's not like the ones they have today where you've got pizza and omelets and all this shit, vegetarian options and all that crap. No, we didn't have that. We had the three fingers of death, or was it Four Fingers of Death? I can't remember. The hot dogs, the Frankfurters in sauce, I believe is what it was called. You know, they were good. The chicken a la king, everybody was bitching about it. It tasted fine to me. One of them, you know, none of them were my favorite. Frankly, my favorite was once in a while you'd see a Humvee come by and they drop off the Mermites, and that had the hot chow in it, you know, the green eggs, you know, from the Mermite, scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, whatever they had in there. That was probably the thing we look forward to probably the most, was the Mermite drop off every now and again. Maybe once a week they come by with that. And that's probably my favorite there. And finally, we got a question here from at mtopper, if I'm saying that right, mtopper. Mtopper. My wife wants to know why you are so crude and say things like, "I'm here to answer your dumbass questions." She thinks that could alienate people. Well, let's put it this way: if me joking about, "Hey, I'm here to answer your dumbass questions," offends you, you're in the wrong place. Because anybody that reads these books and loves them is probably like doing a resounding fuck off right now. Just saying. That's them talking, not me. But no, it's a joke. Do I really mean all the questions are dumbass? No, they're not. Some are better than others, of course, but no, it's a joke. It's just a joke. Lighten up, Francis. So with that, remember, aim straight, drink crooked, and rampage. We pierce. See you next time.
Dismissed!